Well, welcome, folks, to this edition of the 700 Club. Well, Donald Trump got a bounce. Hillary Clinton has a bounce. Everybody has his bounces after their conventions. But it's still a long way into the election, but it's counting down the 100 days, and then it's getting to be 90, and then it'll be 85, and then 80, and then on it'll go. The election is almost upon us, but anything can happen. Wendy.
That's right. Well, Donald Trump is still dealing with his controversy over the parents of a fallen Muslim American soldier, while Clinton is trying to take on Trump over the economy. And Charlene Aaron has the story.
A big convention bounce for Hillary Clinton. A new CNN poll has her leading GOP rival Donald Trump 52 to 43% in a two-way matchup. The Republican nominee is still under fire for his response to the Muslim parents of a decorated U.S. soldier killed in Iraq after the father spoke out against Trump at the Democratic convention. Trump's remarks has sparked outrage from veterans and members of his own party. GOP Senator and war hero John McCain blasting Trump's comments. While our party has bestowed upon him the nomination, it is not accompanied by unfettered license to defame those who are the best among us. Trump's campaign is now appealing to GOP colleagues on Capitol Hill to help quell the controversy. Meanwhile, a mother whose son was killed in Benghazi is also speaking out. Patricia Smith spoke against Clinton at the Republican convention, and she told CNN she's gotten much different treatment than the Khan family.
I was treated like dirt. I don't think that the Khan family was treated that way, but I was treated like dirt. I was called a liar. She went on TV many times and nodding her head thinking that she is so wonderful and she knows everything and I know nothing, and I was just imagining this. I don't imagine my son getting killed. I don't imagine that at all.
On the campaign trail, Clinton attacking Trump's tax cut plan and again calling on him to release his tax returns.
And while we're at it, we would like to see those tax returns, wouldn't we? My husband and I have put out, I think, about 33 or 34 years worth, if you're interested.
And Trump alleges that former Democratic candidate Bernie Sanders made a deal with the devil to endorse his former rival Hillary Clinton.
If he would have just not done anything, just go home, go to sleep, relax, he would have been a hero. But he made a deal with the devil. She's the devil. He made a deal with the devil.
There's still a long way to go till Election Day, and many of today's controversies could easily be forgotten by November. Clinton's poll bounce could fade, as bounces often do, turning this into a tight race once again. And this could still be anything but a normal election year, with millions of people still frustrated by the status quo and the economy, and many still wanting change. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Well, the Lord has handed Mr. Trump a gift of 1.2% GDP growth, which is absolutely pathetic and horrible. 1.2%, which is historically low. I don't think coming out of any recession have we ever had figures this low. And if Trump would just stick to message, that's what they keep telling us, stay on message. Don't talk about Muslim heroes or fallen warriors or any of that stuff. Stay off that and talk about the economy. And remember that thing when Clinton was running against George Bush, and I think it was Stephanopoulos, one of those guys, I forget which one of his age, but anyhow, it's the economy, stupid. It's the economy. It is the economy. 1.2% GDP growth is pathetic. Why don't they talk about that? Whew.
I heard Rudy Giuliani say this morning that he has really one person to attack, and that's Hillary Clinton.
That's right.
And Rudy said, let us attack everyone else.
Yeah.
But he seems to be baited by these tweets
well, it's
and all
rabbit
these
trails,
things.
and with Christians, the devil will get you off on rabbit trails every chance you get. If you are susceptible to them, and if you will respond, then there'll be an incitement constantly in your life, and you have to block all that stuff out and concentrate on the one thing that's important in an election right now: stay on message. It is the economy. Well, in other news, The terrorists of ISIS are making it clear to the Western world why they hate us, despite what the Pope said. And, you know, I think this Pontiff is a super guy, but I think in this one he is absolutely wrong. John Jessup has that story.
Thanks, Pat. The latest issue of ISIS Online magazine is titled Break the Cross, and it includes an article called Why We Hate You and Why We Fight You. The writer highlights several points, including this. We hate you, first and foremost, because you are disbelievers. You reject the oneness of Allah, whether you realize it or not. By making partners for him in worship, you blaspheme against him, claiming that he has a son. At the end, he says, the fact is, even if you were to stop bombing us, imprisoning us, torturing us, vilifying us, and usurping our lands, we would continue to hate you because our primary reason for hating you will not cease to exist until you embrace Islam. You can read more about how ISIS says Christians and Jews have twisted the divine revelation of Islam on Dale Hurd's blog at cbnnews.com. It's called Hurd on the Web. Pat?
I appreciate that. You know, Bin Laden was not some poor mullah out in the streets of Saudi Arabia. He was the heir of a huge multi-million-dollar fortune. His family was one of the biggest builders and developers in that whole region. He wasn't some poverty-stricken person. And Mohammed Atta and others who flew those planes on 9/11, they weren't poverty-stricken. These were university-trained. He was, I believe, an architect. And others have got tremendous training. They are not from the poor classes at all. But let's get our facts straight. And you're not defaming, quote, a great religion when you say that this religion or political system incites violence. It does.
Yes, it does.
John, what's next?
Pat, turning overseas, in Syria, government forces backed by Russia and the United States are making major gains against the rebels near the city of Aleppo. But their success comes with a warning from the director of the FBI. As jihadi groups are defeated, more terrorists will flee to Europe. Gary Lane brings us that story.
Syrian government troops celebrate in Aleppo, shouting, "My soul, my blood, I give myself for Syria." They just recaptured a major section of Syria's second largest city, one that has been occupied by ISIS and other anti-government rebels. The Syrian state news agency says dozens of jihadists have laid down their weapons in the northern section of the city, known as Bani Zaid. 300,000 residents were believed to be trapped and isolated in the eastern part of Aleppo. The government's victory caused President Assad to announce the opening of a humanitarian corridor, so food, water, and other relief can get in and people get out. In Damascus, I recently asked the Apostolic Nuncio to Syria if humanitarian aid is getting into people in need throughout the country.
With some difficulties in some areas, but smoothly, and we do hope that with ceasefire and delivery of humanitarian aid, the situation will little bit improve. It's a long way, but I think it's a good start.
How are the Christians doing in Aleppo?
The Christians in Aleppo are living under a difficult situation like everybody, and we do hope the situation will not get worse.
So more than 5 years now into this war, the people here in Damascus and elsewhere in Syria are growing tired. They want peace. But so far, the talks in Geneva are a bit shaky, and the ceasefire is barely holding. And life has gotten worse for many people in many areas of the country. This is the aftermath of a major bomb blast in northern Syria near the Turkish border. ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack in Qamishli, the capital city of Syria, Kurdistan. At least 50 people were killed and dozens more injured. However, the Syrian government is making major gains on the battlefield. If it regains control of all of Aleppo, it would be a major blow to ISIS and other anti-government groups. It would be considered Assad's most significant victory of the civil war. But FBI Director James Comey warns, as the Islamic State is crushed in Syria and Iraq, hundreds of terrorists will flow out of the region and into Western Europe. The diaspora will be 10 times worse than the one out of Afghanistan during the 1980s. In the meantime, the United Nations hopes to convene a new round of Syrian peace talks in August. Gary Lane, CBN News.
And Pat, of course, the concern is they could come to the United States from Europe.
Well, they certainly will. Well, I know the Prime Minister of Germany is under terrific fire from her people because of the policy of open borders. Those terrorists don't just stay quiet when they emigrate to some other country. They take with them all of the tools of revolution and mayhem. The legacy, ladies and gentlemen, of militant Islam.